Today we have a product from DR.PREPARE. Let's open it up. Alright guys, so here we are. It's a lithium iron phosphate 100 amp hour 12 volt battery. It has a max discharging current of 100 amps, a max charging current of 50 amps. And the thing that makes this unique amongst other 100 amp hour 12 volt batteries is it has this little accessory port right here, which accepts this guy. This is their, well, it's called a battery charging hub, but it has other functions. There we go. So we have a, let's open this up here. It has a DC input, a USB out, a USB-C out, and a DC out here. So an Anderson style DC input, USB, USB-C, and then a DC barrel jack output, and then a cigarette lighter style socket. Let's see what we have, what it says back here on the bottom. Anderson input port is 10 to 14.6 volts DC. Oh, the bottom. That's this part right here, I guess. Is that what it's saying? And then input is 11 to 25 volt, 4.2 amps max. I guess that's what they're talking about here. I'm under the impression that this is a solar charge or an MPPT solar charge. Okay, so it says charging discharging over 15 volts, 12 amps is not allowed, I guess through this port right here. It says to install the Max Hub, which is what this guy's called. We're supposed to swing the cover over like that. So I guess that goes on like that. There's a button up here. I guess that turns it. Okay, you'll get a little blue light. I guess that means that it's on. So one thing I'm noticing is there's some little rubber plugs here all around the case, and I saw it underneath. Let's turn that guy off. I saw it underneath, yeah, underneath here too. So that's making me think that this has screws in it. Oh, look at that. And it does. Okay, guys, let's do something different. We're going to tear this thing apart first and take a look at the build quality and the guts, everything. Then we'll put it all back together, charge it up, and test out the functionality. Uh-oh, guys. Got a bit of a quality control issue. There's no screw in this hole. Alright, let's see if we can crack it open now. I like these handles. This looks like it'd be a lot easier to carry. It's got two nylon straps. Let's see. Oh, you can't open it like that though. There it is. Something was a little stuck in there. Okay. I think I'm going to have to remove these straps to get the lid, or at least on one end. fairly simple. Yeah, there we go. All right, there we have it. Nice BMS. Looks like we've got 10 gauge 200 Celsius or silicone wire, 3 of them for the positive and then 3 of them for the negative. And then we've got a little indicator board. Okay, so that's a charge indicator board. Okay, showing it is discharged. So that being connected to the BMS, I would say that the BMS is probably keeping track of the state of charge, like a smart BMS. And this is not just merely based on the voltage like some of them are, so that's very good. The BMS says GP 102-V 1.3, manufacture date of 2022-0508. Looks like it has a thermal sensor going down into the cells. So we're going to check to see if, I wonder if I can pull that out. Yeah, can't do it. We need to check to see if it has a low temperature disconnect or low temperature protection. That'd be fantastic. I can tell from the top here that these are cylindrical cells. I can see them poking through. Wait a minute. Okay, these are wedges. All right, I think this is what's holding the cells in. Other thing here is that it has a nice silicone rubber seal all the way around. So I'm curious of what the rating is on this battery. Is it weatherproof? Is it waterproof? That would be a very interesting thing for us to find out. That guy's in there. They usually put some kind of sticky, double-sided sticky tape on the bottom of these. And if you're wondering about that, I felt to see if I was in between two cells, so I wasn't poking a cell, so I could feel with my finger there. I know some of you guys were probably cringing. Oh, he's got a screwdriver in there. Oh, by the way, don't do this at home. This could very well be very dangerous. Well, it is very dangerous. Okay, bingo. Yeah, so this is what I'm talking about. There's going to be a very sticky bottom here. All right. Here we go. Yeah, as we can see, we have cylindrical cells. And I'm most interested in flipping it over to this side, so I can try to get at the thermal probe, the thermal sensor here, so we can test if that works. try not to destroy this thing as I take it apart, because we do want to test it, right? Ah, there we go. So let's see if we can dig that out. Aha, and there she is. And we have access to it. And okay, let's see what kind of cells. There's a indicator here. It says, or there's a label here. It says I'm upside down. I think it says WTT 32700 6,000 milliamp hour, 3.2 volt. The date on the cell is 2022-09-09. So yeah, let's try to charge it and freeze this guy up and see if the low temp protection works. We got the R-Droid 50 amp charger charging. You can hear the fan, and the fan will run as long as the charger is charging. Looks like the charging indicator is, I don't know if you can see this, it's flashing. I'm assuming that it will flash the bars more and more and more as it gets charged. So let's test the, see if this has low temperature charging protection. We'll freeze this little sensor, and if it does have low temperature charging protection, this charger will go off. You'll hear this actually go off. So let's do that now. There it goes. Yep. So the charger went off, and let's try to warm this guy back up. And it's back on. Awesome, guys. It's almost like a rare find that we have a battery that's kind of in a budget price that has that feature. So that's fantastic. I always get excited whenever that works, because it's so rare. And it seems like such an easy feature to add, but whatever. So we're gonna cram him back in there. Let's put a little bit of silicone back in place, like that. That'll work, right? There we go. Good as new. Okay, so let's put this guy back together, charge him up, and do a discharge test to see if he pulls full capacity, and then we'll test some of his other features. All right, the charging stopped. However, I noticed that the indicator's not showing all 4 lights, so it may be not calibrated. I think I read something in some document that they sent me that said maybe it might have to be fully discharged and then fully charged for the BMS to reset this. And so now we're going to do a discharge test. All right, you guys, I got the shunt all hooked up, Leesky inverter, and I got a space heater down here as the load, and we're recording, so let's turn it on. All right, I'm pulling 64 amps for a 0.6C, and I'll just let that run, and I'll come back when it's complete. Alright guys, we're at 3% left. 97.8 amp hours so far, 1224 watt hours. Voltage is falling quickly, so hopefully we make it to full capacity. We're at 2%. Nothing's hot. A little warm here, just slightly warm to the touch. On the last bar, 10.9 volts. All right, we're down to 1%. Oh, can we squeeze it out? It's so close. But that voltage is dropping. 99.5. Can we do it? Come on. I think it's gonna make it. I think it's just barely gonna make it. There it comes. 100 amp hours. There's probably not much left after that. This inverter's about to start screaming. There it is. All right, well, we just barely squeaked out 100.5 amp hours. So it made it. It was close, but it lives up to the 100 amp hour capacity rating here. So yeah, now we'll charge it up. See if we can get this indicator to reset and go all the way up to the top. We'll test out the little hub functionality and the solar charge controlling and all that kind of stuff. Alright, so in the middle of charging this thing up, and it was so funny because it happened while I was out here. I was totally inside for most of the time, but this thing let the smoke out. Kind of thought maybe eventually it would, just because of how hot it got, and I think a capacitor blew inside here. So for another video, we'll tear it apart and see what happened and if it's fixable. But probably don't get the 50 amp version of this. It's too hot. Anyways, I managed to get the battery up to 87%, which I was going to charge it all the way up. But I think that's a fortunate thing, because that gives us some room to test the solar charging, so it won't be completely full, and we'll try the solar charging tomorrow. It's dark right now. So now we can go ahead and test the USB ports and the cigarette lighter ports. So we'll do that now. Alright guys, so I've got some devices here to test. I got a tablet, laptop, my phone, and I also have a 12 volt heated blanket to try in the cigarette lighter port. Now I must admit, I was testing some of these devices before I turned the camera on, just so I could figure out how this works and not be fumbling around with the camera. And I think we've already got a problem. I had my laptop plugged into the USB-C port, and it was charging over here perfectly fine. And then I thought, well, while that's doing that, let's plug into the standard USB port here. And I plugged in my phone. And basically, as soon as I plugged in my phone, I heard my laptop chime, and it stopped charging, and my phone never charged. So I believe these two ports are linked. That seems like kind of an indication that the manual is saying, and it must have overloaded it because they don't work any longer. Now, possibly that's my fault, but at the same time, I feel like if you've got the ports available, people are going to plug things in, and that's a likely scenario that's going to happen. It does say in the manual, the USB-C and A ports are compatible with smartphones, tablets, digital cameras, and other mobile devices. I consider a laptop to be a mobile device, but maybe it's just too much. It doesn't say that the ports are going to blow out if you draw too much power. It does say that the total output is 3 in total, if I guess using 3 amps in total if using these 2 ports. But really, a good device should limit the current. If it shouldn't just blow out. So I think those 2 ports are toast. I think this bottom USB port, this red one, which is like a fast one, I guess, it is working. Turbo power. So let's go ahead and try the heating blanket and the cigarette lighter port if it still works. And it doesn't. The cigarette lighter port is out because that would light up red. All right, so tomorrow when the sun comes up, I'll test the solar charge port, but I'm kind of at this point feeling it might not work. All right, guys, so I reached out to DR.PREPARE and told them the problem that I had with the hub. I sent them a clip of the video, and they got back with me and said charging a laptop requires like power delivery of 60 watts, and that's too much. So I'll take my part of the responsibility there and say I had a hand in blowing out the hub. But I did recommend to them that they make sure to make that more clear to not plug in, and charge a laptop. And the manual does say max 30 watt on the USB-C. And so not everybody's going to understand that fully before they probably plug in a laptop and blow it out. So again, I take my part of the responsibility in not being aware that you cannot plug a laptop into this thing. And the other thing that I recommended to them too is maybe in a future version of this hub that they have a user replaceable current limiting device, which would be a fuse. So if in the event that somebody, you could be at a camping trip and somebody doesn't know any better and they just plug their laptop in and it blows that hub out, that wouldn't be fun. That would be unfun. So if you had a user replaceable fuse, you could fix that problem. So they're going to send me a new hub, and I'm going to continue test. We'll be able to test those other ports, the cigarette lighter port and the other USB ports. But for now, let's see if we can try the solar charging. I've got a 130 watt panel here, which really is just it. I haven't ever seen it do 130, so it does maybe 100. And I did have to make a cable. I had these Anderson connectors on hand and MC4 connectors on hand. This did not come with the cable, so that would be handy if it either came with it or it was something you can purchase from them. So I think what we have to do is turn this hub on. All right, we got a blue light, and then let's plug in the solar panel and see if anything happens. This may not, it may not work if this hub is messed up, but we'll see. Oh, actually, we got a green light, so I think that means that it is charging. So let me get my meter, my clamp meter, and see if we're transferring any power. Let's do 6 amps DC, zero it out, and check here. Yeah, we are. So it is working. We got 4.1 amps going into the battery. So I wonder if this is MPPT or just a PWM. we need to measure the voltage here and see if the voltage is actually higher in the MPPT range. Yeah, let me see if I can figure out a way to do that. Okay, so I just tuck these out of the connectors so I can expose the conductors here so we can test the voltage. And let's see what we got. Oh, we got 17, 18 volts. So this would be definitely an MPPT controller, because if it was a PWM, it would pull this voltage down close to the battery voltage. Excellent. So we've got about 4 amps going in at 17.9 volts. So that would be 71 watts. Looks like I got 4.1 at 18 volts. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like the best I can get is about 73.8 watts. So there you have it. The solar charging is MPPT. It still works even though 2 of the USB and the cigarette lighter port is busted. So I'll wait for that new one to come in. We'll test those ports and then we'll complete the video. Yep, okay, so the new one came in and we're gonna do some testing on it, and we're not gonna hook up the laptop, I guess. I guess the first thing I wanna do is turn it on, blue light. Let's hook up the USB-C to my tablet. We are charging, and I asked them if this was okay. Let's hook up the USB-A to my phone at the same time. Ready? This is what killed it last time, except for it wasn't hooked up to my tablet, it was hooked up to my laptop. Okay, so we're charging here and we're charging here. Nothing has died. Now let's plug into the quick charge port, and I think we're charging turbo power. Okay, so it's charging my laptop. I'm sorry. It's charging my tablet and my phone. So now what I want to do is I want to test this port. So let's unplug these. So we'll try the 12 volt heating blanket again. Okay, the light's on this time. That's what it's supposed to do. So that seems to be working. Now, dare I plug in other things? Let me just skim across the manual real quick to see if there's anything that says don't do it. It says the cigarette lighter is 12 volt 10 amps. Okay, so there's nothing in here saying I can't do that. Alright, so we've got the heating blanket going. Let's plug in the tablet. It's charging. Now let's plug in my phone. It too is charging. Let's plug it into the fast quick charger. And that's working. This one switches over, but it continues to work. I think maybe it switches modes or something. So everything's working now, guys. Yeah, so the charging hub is working, or the hub is working as intended. It's actually running a heating blanket, my tablet, and my phone. And everything is fine thus far. So as long as you don't try to charge, I guess, a laptop, this thing won't blow out. I noticed something else that these guys, some more information that these guys sent me that I probably should have read more in depth before testing this battery. So they say, like, doing a discharge test and a charge test and stuff like that with this hub installed might damage it. So I did do that, actually. So it may have also been damaged by that. Anyways, guys, I think that's going to be the end of the video. I'll leave links in the description to this battery if you guys want to check it out or purchase it for yourself. All right, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Okay, so I had already uploaded the video and I didn't set it for public yet. And I was waiting for it to finish processing. And something interesting happened because I was out here playing with this battery still. So this is the new hub. And it still works perfectly fine, of course, as we saw in the video. Yeah. Cigarette lighter's working. The USB-C. Oh, I think it's charged. I need my phone. So yeah, the phone's charging. Well, and then I popped in the one that was damaged, and well, it's working now. Let's try the USB-C that wasn't working before. Phone's charging. Let's try the USB-A that wasn't working before. Phone's charging. So maybe there's some kind of resettable thermal fuse or something in there, but now it's working. So I don't know what to say about that other than I think that's good. So I guess I overloaded it, and at some point it has some kind of resettable fuse in it, and it reset itself, and it's working perfectly fine now. So I just wanted to add that because I think that's a useful bit of information, being that this thing actually recovered from the problem. Anyways, that's it. See you next time.